No one messes with the neighborhood watch after they lose their gardens. The war for hearts and minds begins. Daniel knew that to go against Margaret, he needed more than just public support. He needed leverage, concrete evidence of Margaret's wrongdoings that even the apathetic HOA board couldn't ignore. So he started digging, sifting through documents, old meeting minutes, and even local news archives, searching for anything that could discredit Margaret. As weeks turned into months, he uncovered a trove of information that painted Margaret in a different light. He found instances of her approving certain landscaping choices for favored neighbors, proof that she had once used her influence to secure a lucrative HOA contract for her own landscaping company, and even rumors of shady financial dealings. For now, he kept these findings close, sharing them only with a handful of trusted neighbors. His plan was forming, but he knew that to dismantle Margaret, he needed to play the long game. Meanwhile, Margaret basked in her perceived victories, throwing herself into the mundane tasks of organizing flower pot choices and mailbox regulations. She reveled in the power she wielded over the community. But beneath the surface, discontent was brewing. More and more residents started questioning Margaret's motives and methods. Some began speaking up at HOA meetings, others circulated petitions. But their efforts seemed futile against Margaret's iron grip. However, as the months went on, a subtle change occurred. People stopped watering their perfect little patches of grass, letting weeds and wildflowers grow. They hung wind chimes and bird feeders from their porches. They repurposed their pristine driveways, turning them into impromptu skate parks for their kids. And although Margaret saw these changes as insubordinate, she couldn't quell the growing sense of community. People were tired of living in fear, and they were ready to stand up for themselves and their homes. An unexpected ally emerges. Daniel hadn't anticipated the catalyst that would finally push people over the edge. It came in the form of Mrs. Gable, a seemingly insignificant neighbor known mostly for her prize-winning begonias and her endless supply of gossip. One afternoon, Daniel noticed police cars outside her house, and he soon learned that Mrs. Gable had been fined for improper vegetation, specifically for the wild sunflowers that had self-seeded along her property line. Furious and heartbroken over the loss of her favorite flowers, Mrs. Gable lashed out in her own unique way. She posted a detailed account of the incident, complete with pictures of the sighted sunflowers, in the local newspaper's advice column. The audacity of it all shocked Margaret. No one had ever challenged her in such a public way. While the HOA board was furious with Mrs. Gable for bringing negative attention to the neighborhood, Daniel saw an opportunity. He reached out to Mrs. Gable, explaining that he had similar issues with the HOA and hinting at a larger movement against Margaret. Intrigued and emboldened by Daniel's support, Mrs. Gable agreed to join him. Together, they drafted a response to Margaret's policies, a passionate call for change that resonated with many in the community. Soon, other residents began coming forward, sharing their stories of Margaret's abuses of power and the HOA's complicity. Mrs. Gable's seemingly insignificant act of defiance had become the spark that ignited a community. Strength in numbers. As more and more residents joined the movement, Daniel's confidence grew. He organized neighborhood meetings, encouraged residents to document Margaret's violations, and even set up a communication network to keep everyone informed. One evening, during a particularly heated meeting, Daniel urged the residents to use their collective power. "We can't fight the HOA by playing their game," he said, his voice echoing in the silent house. "We need to show them that we are stronger together." His words struck a chord. Residents began sharing strategies, forming alliances, and planning coordinated actions. They established committees to research new landscaping options, draft revised HOA guidelines, and even recruit legal counsel. As weeks turned into months, the community transformed. Once pristine lawns sprouted vegetable gardens, driveway disputes turned into shared spaces for barbecues and board games, and the fear of Margaret's retribution was replaced by a determination to rewrite the rules. The power dynamic had shifted. The residents had tapped into a collective strength that Margaret and the HOA couldn't ignore. Daniel could feel it in the air, the palpable energy of a community awakened. And then came the moment of truth. The annual HOA meeting. It was here, amidst the sea of familiar faces, that Daniel planned to unveil his findings and call for a vote of no confidence against Margaret. As the meeting commenced, Margaret and her allies, confident in their majority, wasted no time in asserting dominance. They passed motions to silence dissent, expel members who questioned authority, and even threatened legal action against those who dared to criticize them. But as the meeting progressed, cracks began to show. More and more residents, emboldened by the growing movement, spoke out against Margaret's leadership. They presented evidence of financial mismanagement, highlighted instances of selective enforcement, and called for a vote of no confidence. Tensions escalated, voices rose, and for the first time in years, real debate filled the room. As the vote commenced, Daniel felt a surge of adrenaline. This was the culmination of months of planning, the point of no return. Every resident who had lost their garden, every family who had been fined, every voice that had been silenced, they were counting on him. When the votes were tallied, the result was undeniable. Margaret had lost her majority. Her allies, sensing the shifting tide, had either distanced themselves or aligned with the opposition. In a stunning turn of events, Margaret herself was fined for multiple violations, stripping her of the very power she had so ruthlessly wielded. And then, amidst thunderous applause, Daniel took the floor. He proposed a new slate of candidates, committed to transparency, fairness, and a genuine connection to the community. It was a vision that resonated with the majority, promising a brighter future for the neighborhood. As the new slate took office, the community wasted no time in enacting change. They revised the HOA guidelines, replacing rigid rules with collaborative decision-making. They initiated financial audits, ensuring transparency and accountability. And most importantly, they celebrated their newfound unity. The gardens returned, but they were different now. They were a testament to resilience, a symbol of community, and a constant reminder of the power of collective action. In the end, Margaret's tyranny had inadvertently sparked something beautiful, proving that even in the face of oppression, hope, unity, and the pursuit of a better tomorrow can prevail.